What's happening, guys? Celtic CC here. I'm on my main account and I'm currently recording this at just gone 7 o'clock in the morning on the 9th of November. I've done some more skating and filled up my list, so I'm just going to go through my sign-in routine and do my State of Things Part 12. Right, so very important. The World Bank has announced that the world economy will never go back to pre-pandemic growth level. They're almost certain of this. It's not really too difficult to figure that one out, that, the modern society as we know it is completely done. The whole system has kind of collapsed in a lot of places. When you see cruise liners being cut up for scrap and stuff like that, it's a no-brainer. So that's just something to take note of. The whole world is currently looking at a big session of down leveling. I watched a video in Pakistan, thousands rallying against Macron still. This was happening in Karachi, so not to forget all that trouble that happened with France and Hebdo and the beheadings. There was also a few Christians killed in a church, so it's disappointing to see the sort of Muslim versus Christian sentiment coming back in when for quite a while it looked like Christians and Muslims were starting to globally get along a lot better. So it's fucking annoying to see France kick all that shit back off, no doubt about it. Some good news is with Biden, he has agreed to go back to the Paris Agreement. The disappointment of that is that it's a big climate, agreement, and it happened in fucking Paris. Because with all this bloody anti-French shit going on, that's going to hurt the climate situation. The global warming situation. Because it's Paris, capital of France. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's just really gutting that it happened to be Paris, the city that was chosen. It just seems like a big kick in the teeth for the environmental agenda, but never mind, that's the way it goes. Right, so this is happening in Denmark, and it's just a pure horror show. It's just it's frustrating to hear this is how they're dealing with stuff like this. So basically, they found a mutated form of COVID coming from Denmark. They found out that it basically shuts off the human's body's ability to create antibodies to fight off any disease. So it's pretty serious. And the way they're dealing with this is they are culling 17 million minks, which just is a pure horror show for me. I just, hate to hear things like that. 17 million minks is just horrible. I'm going to kill that many. And that's the way they're dealing with it. It just, it highlights the kind of, you got to sort of realise that, humans are starting to become a bit of a cancer to this planet. Do you know what I mean? The way things are dealt with. No Mother Earth discipline and appreciation, and not enough planet appreciation, environmentalism globally. And when you hear 17 million minks getting killed, it's a horror show. It's a fucking horror show. If Denmark want to crack on that way, whatever. But I'm not happy to hear that that's how it's been dealt with. But that's just the way it goes. Some home news from my home country. It looks like the Welsh independence. Oh, someone left the guild. Are they on? Right. Looks like the Welsh independence is, the Wales is looking to go independent. It looks like this gaining strength. I'm not surprised. When you look at how our country Wales, is just that bit better than England when it comes to environmental issues, and the fact that our government is based in London and the Thames is a disgrace, it's a sewer. I can understand the sentiment. Whether anything will come of that, it'll be interesting to see, kind of thing. But that was just, something I've seen pop up on the Reddit page in Wales, that people are, in Wales are actually looking to go in more independent, and, it's definitely gaining strength. I watched the video. I'm interested in Liverpool because I'm a Liverpool fan with football, and the Scousers in Liverpool were kicking off at the police. It wasn't too bad. I seen one guy get pepper sprayed. Nice not to see any bloody sort of grenade launching tear gas things being used the way they do in America. The way America deals with stuff is crazy. This was just like a can of pepper spray being used by the copper. And the guy got arrested. But, it was a bit of kicking off. It's because of all the the lockdown measures, and I think Liverpool are being forced to go through mandatory testing at the moment, which I can understand the city being pissed off why they're getting tagged. We don't know, but obviously people aren't happy. Uh, right, so there's a website I spotted being advertised called blueland.com. I didn't go and actually check the website to find out whether you can get stuff if you're in the UK. I'm assuming you'll be able to if you're in America. But blueland.com selling eco-friendly cleaning products. So if you're interested in that, go check them out. That's blueland.com. Okay, right. So a report was brought out that I've got a big problem with the global banks, the way they handle their shit. I mean, a lot of people do. There was a report brought out that the world's biggest Brazilian and international banks have actually was since 2016 have invested 153.2 billion in commodity companies, right? Which has caused major destruction to forests in Brazil, Southeast Asia, and Central and West Africa, and that's since 2016, right? And this is the problem with the GDP being a positive thing, and banking investment in products and stuff that causes environmental destruction. Um, it's a big problem. They invest in money in things that they know are wrecking forests, and the planet's in trouble. And it's like, stop it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck off. Stop doing shit like that. The world's got to start going, environmental and everything. You got to stop, doing that shit. Like, do you know what I mean? So, right, what's this? Right, so unfortunately, the North Atlantic right whale is close to extinction. I hadn't actually heard of a right whale, but apparently there's only 356 remaining, and the 70 breeding females could disappear within 10 to 20 years. So that's sad to hear. I mean, never forget the dodo, which got made extinct. Obviously, that's probably the most famous example of an animal being made extinct by humans. So that's sad to hear about the whale. Hopefully something gets done to sort that out. There was a report in the UK, and I was disappointed to hear this, that raw sewage is dumped into English and Welsh beaches 2,900 times this year in 2020. The thing about it, the report was saying how it causes disease to people swimming in the sea and going on the beaches. But we don't know. They weren't mentioning what was happening to what it was actually doing to the sea life and stuff like that. It was more aimed at kind of the damage it could do to humans, which that side of the report I didn't like. But definitely something I hope gets done in my home country for that. Greece have gone into a 3-week lockdown. The Greek economy hasn't been good for years. They've always had trouble with the EU and everything. And apparently their economy got decimated after the first lockdown. They're really worried about their intensive care units being overloaded, and they've had to implement another 3-week lockdown. Their hospitals are really struggling. Their economy is really struggling. They weren't in a good position, Greece, before this pandemic kicked off anyway. So that's something to take note of. The Greece are majorly struggling. I want to mention a Red Crow video I watched a while back. Now, Red Crow, I recommend you go and check out his videos on YouTube. He's a Hopi Native Indian from America. And the stuff he talks about is fantastic. He did Indigenous Native American prophecy videos, which has had millions of views. And it's one of the best things you can watch on YouTube. It's about 6 minutes long. But there was another video I watched, and it's talking about how the Vatican offered an apology for what was done to the Native Americans, and how he was saying it's not good enough just to apologise, that they need to actually return the lands that were stolen and stuff like that. And this is the situation when it comes to the Native Americans, and it's the kind of perspective you have to sort of appreciate when you're looking at America, that it is a country based on stolen land, and basically when you look at what happened, the Native Americans were essentially the innocent ones in all of it. Do you know what I mean? Their sacred, ways of living sustainable with Mother Earth, their sacred lands were suddenly turned into, mines to, mine resources and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I could understand this, uh, this video, why Red Crow was getting a bit annoyed about just getting the apology as if it's not good enough. We also had something else recently with South America demanding apology from the Vatican, and I don't know whether the Vatican actually apologised. This was for everything that was done in South America as well. I don't know if anything was done about that, but I have noticed, quite a lot of anti-Pope. I was hoping Saint Francis would be, the turning point for the Vatican, being, from South America, and so having that native spirit. But I'm not sure if it's going too well with them, because the Pope recently, basically showed support for France and Macron, not long after saying that, also Christians and Muslims need to get along. But he showed support for what was going on in France and asking for, people to, condemn this evil going on. And then he doesn't actually say anything about Hebdo and what was done about taking the piss out of, Muhammad and everything. So this is the problem. Like, it's like, the way I look at it, the Pope should have just not said a fucking word. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I remember seeing this other preaching he went on about, saying God forgives adulterers. Well, first of all, he's gone, we're all maggots. Every single person on this fucking planet is a maggot before the Creator. He's got no authority to talk for God that way. To say God forgives adulterers. He doesn't know that. Right? And second of all, it's promoting adultery. Do you know what I mean? So I was just like, why the fuck is he saying that? I certainly wouldn't have been preaching that way. Do you know what I mean? And then you got to look at like things like the Salem witch trials and stuff like that back then. I think it was like 20 back in the day, like 20 witches killed. That's not Christian. Killed by Christians, mind. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I'd been the mayor of Salem, I would have been like, right, your punishment is you all got to come home with me. Do you know what I mean? But it's like when you look at like the fucking, I was only joking on that. When you look at the sort of like the dark history, and the Catholics have to take a lot of responsibility for this. Do you know what I mean? I mean they put their, if you're a Catholic, you're in danger zone right now. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of anti-Catholic, sentiment going about. I've seen videos, they talking about when the Pope saying about people got to start protesting, and everyone in the chat was just kicking off about it. And I can understand it, because it's like, it's all well and good for the Pope to pipe in and say people stop protesting when he's head of a fucking multi-billion empire and he's worried about his money and the church's money and everything. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, so no, of course he's not going to support the protesters. But the reality is, there's people out there that haven't got backed up by a fucking multi-billion empire sat in, I mean, you only got to look at the fucking Vatican. They're trying to promote the environment. Where's the fucking nature out front? Where's the trees? Where's the bushes? It's just one big fucking concrete building. They've even sneaked in, I saw, like, the Celtic Christian cross on the fucking fountain. If you ever get a chance to look at it, right, look at their fountain. It's got the circle with the cross in it, the pagan cross. They've sneaked it in, like, do you mean the full circle cross? I mean, my perception is I'm cool with nature spirituality. When it comes to the dark magic stuff, I'm like, nah, I'm not cool with that. When it comes to nature spirituality, I'm not being funny. Like, I've seen videos of like modern green witches, and they're lovely. The world needs more green witches. I've met a lot of Catholics in my time, and I gotta be honest with you, their religion's weak. Every single Catholic I've pretty much met, apart from one guy who was kind of cool, and he was a lot more sort of rebellious to the Catholic way. He was more into Native American stuff like that. He's probably the only decent Catholic I've ever met in my life. All the rest of them were just like, didn't really have much religion. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's a big issue thing at the moment. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, Pope Francis and the Catholic Church, the Vatican, really need to sort their shit, because they're putting their flock in danger. Their flock's already in danger. Most people associate Catholicism with paedophiles. Do you know what I mean? So it's just the way it goes, like, do you know what I mean? Right. Okay, so Germany, right? Hundreds of rallies against Swedish companies who purchase 4,000 Berlin flats, right? Obviously they're worried about form of gentrification. I can understand that. When a private company gets involved, they're worried about them, so like doing their own thing, maybe knocking up the prices, and it's just taking power away from Germany. So it's a little bit sad to see Germany and Sweden having troubles with each other. They're normally, pretty good. What's this? Oh yeah, I seen a video of a veteran. He is a he was playing he's Scottish, I think. He was playing the bagpipes, and the police pushed him over. And you've seen all the this was in London, and all the veterans, the old school soldiers, were kicking off at the police. Then, um, the police, I can understand, in London are probably a bit ramped up at the moment, pissed off with the whole situation. But shut up in this shit. There was no need to push him as hard as you did. All you had to do was put your hand out, go, whoa mate, where the fuck you going? Turn the other way, please. Didn't have to push him the way you did. Really backfired big time, and that's all gone over social media now on Twitter. So that's just brought anti-police sentiment into the UK. Shout out to a couple of good YouTube channels. Go and support them, and they do some good videos. The first one is Diamond TV. She always she's been commenting on my videos recently. It's nice to see that she does some really cool commentary videos. And the other one is Reduce, Rethink, and Restore. That's the name of the channel. She's just started up, and she's doing more environmental focused stuff, and I've just really enjoyed her stuff as well. Diamond stuff is great as well, so go support them. Good to support the smaller YouTube channels and everything. You can find some really good stuff on here, right? Right. So China are experimenting with a no-go zone for petrol and diesel cars. This is good news coming from China. I complain a lot about China's overfishing. That's where they're really shit. They really need to sort their shit out. But they're actually one of the biggest countries on the planet for the electric vehicle and hybrid push, and they're starting to experiment with no-go zones. So you won't be allowed to drive through them unless you've got a hybrid or an electric vehicle. So that is going to be a big push for people to switch to electric and hybrid, because you basically won't have the freedom to travel anywhere you go if you're driving diesel or petrol, which is good. But I'm going to reiterate that point that China is still really shit when it comes to overfishing. They're probably the worst on the planet for that. And what they're doing with the Senegal forest as well, that's something needs to be done about that. They need to reduce their timber imports. Okay, so the Thailand protests have kicked off a bit more. They're calling it political turmoil. I watched the video quickly, and it's ramped up to clashes with water cannons and everything. They basically want dialogue with the king, so Thailand's kicked off a bit more. Some good news from the environmental field. There's some new technology being brought out where they can actually brew carbon negative rocket fuel by capturing carbon out of the air, which that sounds awesome. If they can make rocket fuel, by reducing CO2 in the air, that's awesome. Well, I hope that goes somewhere. That sounds good, right? And this is my last one. This is my perception on the oil companies. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff about oil companies. Like there was one report about, head of an oil company just glad that, the climate change thing is being seen as, can't do much about it, so he could not have to worry about, messing with his profits. That's just fucking evil. Do you know what I mean? It's like my perception is what the whole fucking globe needs to do is take power away from the oil companies, put them in their place and say, right, something like 90% of all your profits made have to go into renewable energy, and then you force them to make the switch, that kind of thing. Reduce all the bonuses from all the fucking big dogs in there, and make them take lower wages and stuff like that, and just force these oil companies to switch to renewable, to change their business. Because we have to get off oil, it's very important. So that'd be my perception of how to do it. You just fucking force them by law, with threat of it depends on their country's execution or imprisonment if they don't comply. That's what needs to happen. These oil companies need to be put in their place. They need to, move to renewable. It's good to see BP, I think, invested something like, I think it was like a 40% profit push into renewable energy. So they're starting to try and make the switch, because don't forget, like what I said in my previous video, it looks like we got about 43 years worth of oil left, and we need to get the whole planet off oil, because it's not going to last. Okay then guys, that's my State of Things part 12. I don't know where I'll be uploading this. Cheers.